Let me just test my screen. Is that okay? Can you see my screen? Prof, are you there?
But I was talking, but I was muted, sorry.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, try and move it. Let's see.
Let me do a full screen.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah, it's moving outline. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. We'll stop sharing.
All right. Thanks a lot. Well, okay. So thanks for everyone for joining. We are about to start. We have 6 minutes more. And if you're on if you're on YouTube, you can just write comments section to you can hear us loud and clear. And if you're on Zoom here, write yes. Okay. So we'll be starting shortly. Okay. So we have 5 minutes to go, but I want to be sure that we can hear me. If you can hear me, see.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, and we cannot
Good
talk,
evening,
but you can write. Good evening, madam. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine, sir.
Yeah, how is running with the vision?
It's fine, sir.
I know you say so.
Ron is fine, sir.
Okay. And those on YouTube, let's be sure. Let's cross check whether we can see. We can be heard from YouTube. I'm just to share my screen again. Let me just show. So to be sure that we can see my screen. If you can see my screen, you write yes on the chat. Can we? I want to be sure that we can see my screen.
Yes, Prof, you can see it. Introduction. Okay. New partner alerts.
Okay. Is it moving? Sure.
Yes, it's moving. Action point 1.
Great. Okay. I want to be sure that it's only you guys talking. Okay. What can you see now?
An example.
Great. Thank you for being there. Right. Okay.
And Prof, congrats on your one of your partners that won the Nobel Prize. I think 2 weeks ago, Professor James Robbins. I was telling my wife, I said, now we have access to a Nobel Prize winner through Professor Evans. So it's amazing.
Yeah, right. They were saying in Nigerian Palace, like God. I think it's amazing that how things work out. You just reached out to me that you wanted me to post. This is a PhD student who was coming to do some research in Nigeria.
Okay.
I met with him initially in 2011 at a conference because I was my PhD on institutions and coming up in Africa. So their work on the institution was quite instrumental to my work.
Nice.
To Richard,
no. This is good. So
Richard and hosted, yeah, and he actually came to Covenant University 2022 August, and he was hosted. So when DIaDeRC was formed, and I reached out to him, they wanted him to be part of our advisory board member. He was quite happy, And thankfully, when I sent this card to him to appreciate him from that, he replied same day that once I'm happy and there are a lot of things we can do together. So give me some time. So
Okay.
that is the good news there. So,
yeah, let's give him some time. It'll be nice to see what we do. Yes.
Yes. So who knows? We can just plan this Nobel laureate seminar shortly, and
That's
you with set and other collaborator.
That's right.
So it's all about taking step, and that's the lesson one has learned from that.
That's right. This is great.
That.
No, this is great.
Great. So let's check time. When it's time, we'll just start. Okay. YouTube, let's quickly check the YouTube. See head on YouTube. That YouTube. No, see what I want to show that. Okay, triple online. Okay, great. That's good. So those on YouTube, just write a comment that they can also share their comments. They can follow online page. I want to be sure that I need this ring light. So sure. Okay, I'm not sure I need it. Okay. So we are live on YouTube and we're also live on Zoom. So one is exactly 6 o'clock Nigerian time. GMT +1 will start, which is like the next 1 minute. Okay, so there's our screen. All right, I think it's time now. Yeah, so right away we start. I want to, 6 o'clock Nigerian time, GMT +1. We are starting right away. Once again, I want to say good evening from here, good morning X here, or good afternoon X here. Greetings from all of us on DIaDeRC, the DePECOS Institutions and Development Research Center. My name is Evans Osabuohien, the privileged chair of the center and also the host of the African Scholars Mentorship Network. And I'm so grateful to God that today is marking another episode, another series 4.0, having run through first 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and head away with 4.0. And what is very unique about this is that it's a series that we are collaborative partner at CSEX, based at University of Regina, Canada. And I most appreciate Dr Taiwo Afolabi for driving that vision and working on this journey. So I want to say thanks so much. And I most appreciate God for his faithfulness and his awesomeness, because as you're sharing that before we started, that just little step that we took is being multiplied into greater success. So at DIaDeRC, we are very grateful to God for his faithfulness and for his awesomeness. So for me, it's a privilege to be your host or the coordinator for the African Scholars Mentorship Network. Let's start with saying, why is the network? Because we are building together, we are navigating together towards this great goal of improving, enhancing, increasing the contribution of Africa into global scholarship. That's our hallmark. And we have this common say that we want to change the narrative or be part of those changing the narrative from Africa to an upload continent, whereby where Africa was referred as people. Okay, I hope I can see the head. Can we hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's cutting a little bit, but we can still hear
you. It's better.
Yes, it's better
right?
now. Yes.
Okay, so I have to remove the earpiece since the earpiece was this. So we normally start with this first start, since we don't have time to write our names and everything. Introduce ourselves. What the bankers they call it KYC, know your customer, know your clients. So if you can write your name on the chart, that'll be great. Your name, your affiliation, and your main area of research. Write it here on if you're on Zoom, quickly write it on your Zoom. And if you're on YouTube, please, yeah, thanks so much, Ajibola, that was fast. If you're also on the YouTube, write it right there on YouTube on comments. We want to be sure that we are together. While we are doing that, I will quickly move on. So, start introduction. Basically, for today, after introduction, I will invite Dr. Afolabi to give his own talk on grantsmanship, and I will come back afterwards. They will take the questions at the end of that. So that is the outline for today. So why mentorship? Why are we so bothered about mentorship? So we have a number of reasons which I will ask us to choose which one makes more sense to us. One is that it's needed at every stage of one's career. Even at my stage as a professor, I still have mentors that I defer to. I will just mention one of them, James Robinson. I have a number of them. If you go to our advisory board members, these are people who are deferred to, who are listened to. So at every stage of our lives in career, we only need people that are ahead of us to learn from. So that's why mentorship is very important. Somebody say if you don't have mentors, you will face tormentors. If you don't have mentors, you will face tormentors. So, but in summary, these are the 4 reasons we are put here, which I'll ask you to choose which of them makes more sense to us or most appealing to us. One is that leverage on this others. For example, now on his success over the years. Then 2, you can also help us to gain speed. 1, you know what helped them to succeed. And 2, you can also learn from their errors. Some authors call it OPE, other people's experience. So we can learn from other people's experience. And then 2, we can, number 4, it can also help to foster resourceful networking, so you can network with others. So quickly use the comment to know which of these 4 of them are most important to you. Will you give us half a minute to do that? Right on it. You just write, if it's 1, write 1, 2, write 2, 3, write 3, 4, write 4. So quickly, which of these 4 roles of mentorship is most appealing to you, or you find most useful? If it's more than 1, correct? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. So I just mentioned this case of whose work on institutions was pivotal to my PhD thesis on institutions and prosperity, whereby I have to work on my PhD thesis on institutions and through that comes. And afterwards, in 2022, we were able to host him, which is a PhD student who I was also hosting, has visited us a number of times. And when DIaDeRC was formed, or established, he became a member of our board of directors. So when we heard the good news that he became in 2024 an economist, Nobel Prize winner in economics, we wrote him, congratulate him. So it's like it's an example of leveraging on other people's success as one way or one of the benefits of mentorship. Okay, so before we move on to next thing, so it's really good to look at we are studying this 5-week intensive training. So at the beginning, what do we want to achieve? What are our SMART goals that are specific, that are measurable, achievable, relevant or resourceful, and then time bound. So in other words, where do you want to see yourself in the next 12 months, which you can call short-term goal, next 3 years, which you can call medium-term goal, and then 5 to 10 years, which you can call long-term goals. So in terms of participation in your career, where you are now, what do you want to achieve? You can write it down somewhere, either on the comment or some of your notes that we adhere to, and let's see how we can work together towards achieving that. So for this, so this 4.0, we're taking this episode 1 today with my brother earlier. And but afterwards, but next week Sundays, we'll go to episode 2 with Dr. Judith and giving us insight on the grant proposal writing and the practicality of grant winning and grant implementation. Afterwards, the 3rd week, we'll go to episode 3 with Romanus working on taking us through on nuggets on publishing in reputable outlets and getting awarded for that. Then I have this other young lady that is coming to use her experience to tell about scaling local action into global impacts through collaboration as a Dr. Adenick. And she will give us insights. She's a very lady that is currently a fellow in Germany under the Humboldt Foundation. And we also part together as part of G7 Global Authors. And then the last episode 5, we have one of our most revered mentors, the Professor Taiwo coming to give us his own experience. He's a one-time VC of Beckham University, and also one-time the pioneer VC of British Canada University in Obodo. So he gives us such experience. So we have a lot for us on this series. So just join with us, and you'll be glad you did. So taking a look at the it's one of the, I think it's one of the most highly subscribed episodes. We have about 50% registered. But one thing came out clearly on this series. Why? Because if you look at 2.0, we did last year, we have about, in terms of a gender composition, we have about 35% of them were female. Then in series 3.0, it increased a little bit, not a little bit, a bit to 89.8. But we can see series 4.0. So we're so happy at that because we are having, so in terms of we are becoming much more inclusive in terms of gender inclusivity. We now have about almost 44% of the participants that are registered being female. For us, it's a good one. We hope that we build on that and work on that. Okay, so in terms of other uniqueness, I will not spend time on that. We are also happy that most of the people, more than 85% of them who joined 4.0 are first timers. So in other words, we expected those who had gone through other series to move on to collaboration, or have different group of them. Happy that we are having new persons joining us, which is very good for us. Okay, so I will leave other things later for long, and then one other thing that came out very clear is the issue of a country, the number of countries that that register for the number of participants by country. So this is one of the highest rate of diversity. We have close to 24 countries being represented from Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Canada, Czech Republic, Ethiopia, Finland, Germany, Ghana, India, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Sudan, Tanzania, the Gambia, Turkey, Uganda, US, Zambia, Zimbabwe. So we entered a number of countries that we have not entered before. So that also shows that the program is having so much global visibility, which we are able to. Maybe we got a partnership with University of Regina, thanks to that, because they also shared it on their own network. So these are also reflect the benefit of collaboration. Yeah, in terms of our fund mentorship circle, these are the founding pillars we're working with, which we call the tripod of mentorship. So first one is we expect and we believe from my experience that honesty and integrity should remain as the foundation for any mentorship engagement. And then secondly, that we expect and we have shown that the mentee should be the one to be the captain, to bring the idea, the mentor is just to guide as co-pilots. So we provide a platform. We expect our mentees to take the lead, and we just support it from the behind. And of course, there should be need for frequent evaluations and progress reports. So when we have these three tripods, we can make progress in any mentorship engagement. We are still trying to test run this one empirically, but this is the theoretical foundation that guides our mentorship. And that would be taking this one of these last one before I invite Afolabi, what you call I started pushing this idea since 2000 after COVID, which I call the research academic pyramid. So no matter where you are, you can climb. The least you can climb is you just come in to research, whether you're a professional or academia or otherwise. What you need to do is to be to gain what I call consume knowledge consumption. You read more widely with a view to have adaptability, to know which area of research you want to bid on, and then you move on to that. You can be to write something, article, jointly or otherwise, which I call a knowledge production. Yeah, and then that will give you growth to. And of course, you can also go to the area of knowledge, what I call knowledge moderation. Good to what people are writing, sort of a review. And I'm happy to announce that when we truly call for just 7 reviewers, more than 5 persons have been confirmed from our platform that they were accepted as a reviewer. So in that case, you're able to review what people are writing. So you are engaging what we call knowledge moderation. And that will help you to gain more stability and integrity. And you can climb the ladder furthermore, what I call the knowledge stimulation. I don't know, break an idea, in terms of a book proposal, in terms of special issue, the table, that people will not contribute to your idea, which I call stimulation. And if you can do that for a long time, you can have what we call a research or academic immortality. You become difficult to forget. Okay, so before I call on Afolabi for this session, this is just a clear call. If you look at our event page, we said after this general training, we expect people to join the subscribe to ASMN premium membership so that they can have a continuous and a closer mentorship. And it's very simple. Just click the network. Go to our website. You just click join the network. You see, you tick it. I'll just use this hyperlink here, and there are a lot of benefits that we have outlined there that you can. So we want to as many on this platform that can be part of that group, because it will run from now to the end of November. After what we do onboarding, we did our first one last in September. Next one will be in November. So we admonish you to do that as quickly as possible, so you can enjoy the numerous benefits and for continuous mentorship. So on that note, I want to call on that to introduce our person for today, Dr. Afolabi. I think it's on the screen. Can you read it out? We will just introduce him shortly. Okay, that is, he's already on the call. So please, team member, let's introduce him.
Okay, good evening all, and welcome to 4.0. The facilitator for this evening is Dr. Taiwo Afolabi. He is a Canadian research chair at Socially Engaged Theatre Director, Center for Socially Engaged Theatre, and assistant professor at the University of Regina. He is an artist, qualitative researcher, theatre manager, applied theatre practitioner, and educator with a decade of experience working across a variety of creative and community contexts in over a dozen countries across 4 continents. He researches, creates works, performs, and teaches at the intersection of performance and human ecology. Dr. Afolabi has co-edited 2 books and published articles in various books and reputable journals. He is a senior research associate at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa, and the founding artistic director of Theatre Emissary International. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's, with a clap emoji, welcome Dr. Taiwo Afolabi. Dr. Afolabi, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. Thanks. It's Dr. Emmanuel Atat. I appreciate you, and thank you to Professor Evans for his thought leadership and for the opportunity to be co-hosting and co-organizing this particular ASMN 4.0 together. It's such an honor to be able to partner across the show, and I'm really excited in terms of how that's the beautiful thing about partnership. We're able to leverage networks and connections and all of that, and of course, thanks be to God for the opportunity to be able to do this and for the results that He's given to us, and for more that are coming that He will give to us. What I'm gonna do is to share my screen quickly here and then get us going. We have so much to cover, so I'm hoping that we can get things going ASAP. Can you all see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so let's get started. So what I've titled my short presentation, "The Art of Grantsmanship," ASMN 4.0. And I do know that in the next series that we have, you're going to be diving deep into grantsmanship, what that means, and all of that. So what I'm really hoping to do today, just give us that foundation. I like that introduction. By way of introduction, I know I've been introduced already, but I'll speak more about myself and why am I, because that's always it's a critical question. Why am I qualified, if I may use that word, to give advice or to take on this session? And I'll speak more to that. Of course, I'm a Canada researcher. I'm the director of the Center for Social Language Theatre at the University of Regina. I'm the director of Research Hub and Theatre Emissary International, and I'm really excited about the partnership with DIaDeRC, which this is one of the results of that. So the overview, the objective of my presentation today is really to can you still see my screen? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. The objective of my presentation today is to give an overview and really foundational information about grantsmanship, and I'm going to leave a lot of time for question and answer. Okay, so in terms of my outline, I am going to do an introduction of the key guiding principles. Then we'll talk about processes and procedure, the application in terms of the timeline and application format, other aspects around references and all that, and then we'll give our final thoughts and Q&A. So why am I qualified to give advice? The first thing is I've won, and everything I say is, again, where I'm a Christian, so my life spring out of my faith, and so everything I say is not to brag, is really to give God the glory, and we also know that there are processes and ways that around these things. Okay, so we're people of faith, but we also know that faith mixed with works, it's really important. I have won millions in grants, in funding, and in-kind support, and I'll speak to in-kind support later. I've reviewed hundreds of funding and admission applications, and the reason why I added admission application to there is that there's some grants that you receive because you are admitted into a program, whether it's fellowship, whether it's internship and all of that. I've had the privilege to review hundreds, whether it's from post-secondary institution to non-government organizations and different things like that. I've led and I continue to lead initiatives that have garnered millions in grants. I've also mentored researchers, early career researchers, students who have won grants, from MasterCard to Chevening Scholarship to Commonwealth Scholarship to grants, whether it's in Europe or in North America or other places. And I've led and co-led different grants and scholarship capacity building, including Research Hub, Fraser Foundation, Scholarship IQ, and Scholarship Lab. So, to some degree, I have really robust experience, and we continue to learn. Don't get me wrong. Like Prof said, wherever stage we find ourselves, there is more, and we have mentors. We continue to build capacity. So I have partnered internationally. I've had the privilege to work in over 21 countries across 5 continents. So I have a lot of robust, really experience, whether it's in writing grants, co-writing grants, reviewing grants, and all of that. So I do hope that what I'm offering today can be an opportunity for us to think together and be able to glean and learn from each other. Okay. So some couple of thoughts as a way to kind of introduce my my presentation. We have to understand that grantsmanship is the art of acquiring peer-reviewed research funding. Okay, I want you to, if you're taking notes, which we encourage, whether it's by pen and paper or on your iPad or your phone and all that, take your own notes and all that. I want you to circle the word art, A-R-T, circle the word peer-reviewed. Those 2 words they're really important. And I'll tell you why those words are important. Research has shown that we have to consider both the quality of the science and the quality of the grant application. So the quality of the idea, whether it's your methodology, it's your literature review, whether it's the quality of the idea that you're presenting is as important as the quality of the grant application. You may have good idea, but if you don't present your idea forward in a quality way, it's going to trump that idea. Okay, so it's an art, meaning that you have it's teachable. You can learn it. Okay, I remember when I started Theatre Emissary International in 2012, and I had to learn the art and the act of grant writing. Unfortunately, in our system where I did my undergrad, I'm really grateful to God for opportunities that have risen right now. Back in the day, we don't necessarily have much capacity building when it comes to grant writing and all of that. But I think there's a lot happening right now. And for me personally, I've been part of some of them myself. So which meant that when I was studying, I had to kind of learn all of that by myself. I remember I did an application to do a research in Denmark. That was in 2013. I had to apply to their research agency. I believe it's Danish Art Agency. I started thinking about, okay, what do I do? So I had to learn through try and error. And I can't tell you how many applications that I've gone through that were not given to me, right? And so you had to learn through the process, and at times you're expecting that funding to come through because you put in your best and then you realize that, oh, I missed that, and all of that. So we had to learn through try and error, some of us, because we didn't have capacity. Spaces like this, like DIaDeRC and other spaces out there, is an art. You have to learn it, and you can learn it. Okay. You can also it's transferable skills, right? It's also peer-reviewed, meaning that people are going to sit down to review the application. Okay. I always tell a lot of my grad students, and particularly grad students and my postdoc, that you have to understand that whatever grant that is given to you, somebody sat down to write it. So it's not that we're just, they just dashed that person. No, somebody sat down, thought about it, put in so much hours into it. And honestly, I've written an application where that it took me 8 months to get it done. Okay. Because it's a lot of money. They were giving me, as high as 600,000 Canadian dollar. That's a lot of money, right? It's a lot of taxpayers' money. Okay. And again, some application like, they give you like 1,500, and I've written for $150 application, right? So we've written both for up and, from whether high or low, right? So it's going to go through the peer review process, right?
folks are going to take a look at it to see what does this work, does it not work. And when it comes to those that are reviewing, you don't know them. At times you will, at times you don't know them. And what's interesting is that, they most of the time now, grant agencies are now making interdisciplinary, panel of reviewers. So that means that somebody that might be in law may be looking at my application and all of that. And we'll talk about that at some point. Okay, so I've kind of divided this thing into 3 sections, and there are a lot of articles things that you can read out there. So I'm just going to give you just broad strokes. So the first piece is around the conceptualization. So you have this idea, you want to apply for a certain, scholarship, or sorry, certain funding. We have to understand that the art of grantsmanship will not turn mediocre science into a fundable grant proposal. But poor grantsmanship itself will often turn very good science into unfundable grant proposal. So you have this great idea, great science, that's what I mean by science. Great idea, great project that you want to do, and then your writing is extremely poor. It's not presented in a good way. Really, there's a lot of problem. And you may not really get it. So a lot of the time, when we say start very early, whether you are established or emerging, it doesn't matter. Start very early, because then that can give you opportunity to review it, to send it to people, trusted folks who can walk through it for you and different things like that. So before you start writing, there's some couple of things to think about. Of course, you need to think about your ideas and all that. But you need to read the guidebooks. There's always guidelines, application forms, usually for these things. Read it carefully. So you want to apply for a DIaD, for example, and I know that Professor Evans he has considerable experience in many grants, including in Germany. So I'm using DIaD as an example. Whether the application is out for this year or not, the guidelines are out there. Read it well. What I find many times is that people don't read these things. So the application forms, we don't read it. The guideline, we don't read it. The guidebook, we don't read it. We don't read anything. And then we just say, I want to apply for this. And then you just slam it 1 week before. And then you're calling somebody to write a reference letter for you 2 days before. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. It does not. Okay. I had an experience just a few days ago. Somebody was applying to a grant, for a grant in Europe, and then it was closing in few days, and they're like, Prof, please help me write the letter. I said, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. It's not because I don't want your progress. By God's grace, I want you to succeed. But you have to know that there are many things that are competing for my priorities. Okay, I have things to do. We all, we're busy. So you don't just, you have to read it ahead. You can even give, there's nothing as bad as giving, 3 months notice ahead to say, Prof, I'm going to be writing this application. Please, I'm hoping you can be a referee for me and all of that. Or 3 months, 2 months, right? But read it carefully. That's the beginning of success, in my opinion. Once you're able to read it, because when you read it, you can read the eligibility, the requirements, the timeline, what is required of you. That's one of my mentee in London School of London School of Economics is applying for an application for a particular application, and then they reached out to me to write a letter for them, and then they came back to me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Prof, don't bother. I've read the application. I realized that I'm not yet qualified for it." But you see, if they didn't write it, if they didn't read the guideline, they would have gone through the entire process and then realized that, oh, it's a wasted effort. So read, that's the first place to start, okay? You're thinking of your ideas, write your ideas down. Again, when you read the guidelines, it will help to know what are the things that are required, okay? There's some grants that require you to write, just 4 pages of proposal or 2 pages or 1 page, depending on what it is, right? Once you've done all of that, okay, you've identified what your idea is, your methodology, what your context, your outcomes, your knowledge mobilization strategies, and again, everything in subjection to the peculiarity of each funding, okay? Then the next thing is then to go into execution, okay? Good writing will not save bad ideas, but bad writing can kill good ones. So we've said that you have good ideas, okay? I always say prepare to write multiple drafts. Prepare to write multiple drafts. draft 1 is not going to cut it. I'm very sorry. It won't. In fact, at times draft 2 will not. And Prof can share with you. We, in our different ways of engaging, we write multiple drafts that even, because the first time you write the idea, at least you've been able to put it on paper. Now you now have to articulate, is it clear enough? Is it what they are looking for? There are times that we need to meet with people that are ahead to say, oh, this person has applied for this funding. What was your experience? Even if it's 15, 30 minutes, can you please just talk to me? How was your experience? What do you think they are looking for? Or, somebody that reviewed that kind of grant before and they're happy to talk to you. And really, people are generous in my experience. Okay. If we're not generous, we won't be doing this right now. Okay. So prepare multiple drafts. Let's say ask for review from trusted colleagues and partners. Many years ago, when I was doing my PhD, I was applying for a particular grant, and I sent my proposal to a particular lady to read for me. And then she called me and she said something that I can't forget. She said, Taiwo, you're going to go places. And why? She said, well, because you have this attitude of sending your work for people to review. Many people, out of ego, they keep their work to themselves and then they just send rubbish. Say, but if you can, because at the end of the day, I don't believe in self-made. Nobody is self-made. If I have a proposal and I give it to somebody to review, they've contributed to it. Whether you see, it's not. So we have to learn to ask trusted colleagues and friends. The word trusted is key there. For many reasons, because you don't want somebody to take your idea and they run away with it. They can review and give you feedback, okay? And don't ask it in 24 hours. It's closing, and this is what I get with a lot of my folks from Nigeria, particularly Nigeria. They send me work to review 24 hours, and they say, Prof, yeah, it closes tomorrow. Please, can you review? I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way, okay? Review, it's still execution, right? You are thinking, you have that idea now, you can say, okay, this methodology that you want to use, does it make sense? If you want to use, for those in economics, you want to use regression method. Does regression method work for this particular thing you are writing on, right? What theory works? What's your methodology? What's the conceptualization? And different things like that. The next phase is submission. I always say, due to logistics and technical issues, I advise that you aim to submit days or hours before the deadline. This is important, and I'll tell you why. Because many of these funding opportunities are oversubscribed. And so what you find is that in recent times, their portal or their means of submission will always crash, or they have issues behind. So always submit ahead of time. Have a timeline, have a time schedule. Okay, that's what I do for my students or for my mentees. You have an application, you want to give me your timeline, because if you don't give me your timeline, and I can say, okay, this is not going to work. Can you submit 2 days before? Can you submit depending on, different factors, right? Now, the reason also for that is for your referees. And I mentioned that earlier on, referees. Referees are important. I hope that things are changing, particularly in our various jurisdictions. We have to learn the art and the act of writing reference letters. And this goes to a lot of, professors and even those that are early career, because again, we're all building up. And so at some point, you're going to be writing reference letter for other people, that if you're not writing it yet. References are very, very important. They're extreme. I can't tell you how extremely important they are, because I've sat on these review committees myself. You take an application. So I'll give an example now. Imagine Professor Evans is writing an application and Professor James Robinson is a referee. Okay, and I'm using that example because he's an advisory board on the advisory member of DIaDeRC. It's like you're standing on the shoulder of giants, really. They are basically putting their credibility behind your work. There's some funding that you won't get if you don't have strong referees. And I'm not saying strong referees based on names, don't get me wrong. But based on the quality of the referees, the quality of the work they've done, the quality of their connection to the research and whatever you are proposing, that somebody can say, oh, if this person is putting their credibility behind this person, then I think it's worth funding. Okay. Remember that funding that you are requesting for is somebody is paying for it. It might be taxpayers' money. So we can't afford to have a mindset, that an entitlement mindset. Okay, we can't afford to have that, and that's why we have to at every phase we need to carefully consider that. There's some referees that are extremely busy, and you can offer them to say, well, this is what I'm writing. I can offer you some bullet points on areas to investigate as you write your letter for me. There's some referees that will say, no, I'm happy to write it once you give me ahead of time. There are different approaches to this, but always consider your referees. Now, the reason I'm mentioning referees and stretching it a little bit is that there's some grant application that you can't submit until your referees submit their letter. Okay, again, once you read that guideline, whatever that grant is, once you read that guideline, you'll be able to know what it is, what it's not. There's some grant that you can't submit them until your referee submit your letter. So if you don't consider in the timeline to submit way ahead of time, and your referee is submitting it last minute, then that means that the possibility of not meeting that deadline is possible. Now, there are some grants that once you submit, your referees can submit their letters maybe 2 weeks later or something. Again, depending on what it is, the grant that you're working on. Okay. Now, after you have submitted, now you've done everything. Remember, you've done from conceptualization, you've thought of the idea, you've identified the funding you're looking into, you've read the guidelines, you build a timeline, you've done you've identified the various aspects of the application. You have the application form, proposal, some will say even add budget to it, budget justification, and different things like that. You've done all of that. You've reviewed it, somebody, and you're good to go and all of that. You've also identified referee or referees if the application requires that, and you've done all of that, and now you've submitted. Okay. Now, after you've submitted, what next? Now, the couple of things, again, depending on that funding. There are some funding that some grants that when you submit them, you don't get feedback to say whether you submitted or not. I always say follow up. Send an email to say, hi, my name is so. I just submitted an application and I didn't hear back. Okay. I was wondering if, it received or something, because there are times that there's technical glitches, right? Okay. You get that. There are times that you don't have to, you get an automated response and that's it. Don't, you submit an application today, don't tomorrow reach out to them and say, when am I hearing back? Because again, if you've read the application form, you will hear, or the guideline, they might write it there. There are times that they will not write, again, depending on, I think these things are getting better day by day in terms of equity, accessibility, information, and all that. However, there's still some ground that they may not write it specifically when you will hear. Wait a little bit before you start pestering them to say, when am I going to hear back? Okay. For some of us who are people of faith, pray about it. Okay. That can alleviate your fears. Okay. Pray about it. Now, you get the application, you got it, and you got the response. You get it, praise God. You didn't get it. I always say, even if you didn't get it, take the time to send an appreciation letter. The appreciation note. I'll tell you, this has happened to me before. And like I said, all of these things are trial and error. I didn't read it anywhere. Back in the day, you had to go through all this by yourself. There's a particular application a grant that I applied for back in the day. I think it was 2015. And I applied for it, and I didn't get it. Initially, I wasn't given. And then when that letter came, the letter of rejection and all that, of course, at times, it's, you were expecting something. Anyway, and I just had that in my spirit, just send a letter of appreciation, a note of appreciation. Because again, remember, somebody spent their time to review your application, okay? And most of the time, we don't get paid for reviewing these applications, okay? It's pro bono. It's in addition to the work that we need to do. So even a note to say, even though the application was not successful, I just want to say thank you to the review committee for taking the time to review my work and all of that. You can even go further by asking for feedback. There's some funding, there's some application that will say we can give you feedback. There's some that don't give you feedback, okay? And they will write it clearly there. They will say, based on the volume of applicants, we can't afford to give feedback, okay? So again, depending on what that funding, that grant that you're looking for, that you're thinking about, that you've applied for and all of that. So this particular experience, when that letter came in, I just had that leading in my spirit. Okay, of course, that's the Holy Spirit. We know, he leads us in different ways, and I know that particular time. So I sent this letter of note of appreciation to this person in charge of it, and I said, thank you so much for taking the time to review my application. I know that it was, it's a lot of time and all of that. Thank you. And the person said, yeah, no worries. You're welcome. All that. And then guess what? Like a week or 2 weeks later, I got a letter from them saying, we know we rejected you, but we were wondering if you're still interested because there was an opening. Now, this was what happened. There's some funding, there's some grants that they have wait list, okay? They've allotted the money, okay? And then they have what they call wait list, which means that if they've given the people that they've originally selected, if 1 or 2 persons decline, and I'll tell you why people decline. There are times that people have applied for multiple things, right? And like 2, 3 funding came at the same time, they have to choose one. They can't take everything, okay? Which means that one slot will be opened. There are times that maybe they just got new funding or something. There's always something that you don't know. It's now that I sit on these boards or I even administer grants myself that I know the backstory. And for this particular situation, what happened was the fact that they had given this funding to a particular person, okay, and then a few weeks later, the person got back to tell them that they won't be able to come again because something happened. And remember, the money, they can't, most of the time, we don't advise that once a grant agency gives an organization money for us to return that money. If we return that money, we're making a statement that we don't need it. So next time we're requesting it, they may not give it back to us. Okay. Now you don't know all this scoop. It happens behind the scene. So when that person said whatever something happened, they couldn't take that grant. This organization, the person in charge now reached out to me. She said I was the only person that sent an email of thank you note. And then she now said, are you still interested? Because we have this one slot and all of that. And that's how I got that funding. That's how I got the funding. So always, even at times, I get it. We want something, right? But we didn't have it. It's okay. It's not yours, It's not everything we apply for that we get. In fact, thank God that it's not everything we applied for that we actually got. All right? Because then that helps us to put things in perspective. Okay, so a quick recap. I started by kind of just outlining myself as a little bit about my own experience in connection to this. I did mention that grantsmanship is an art that we can learn, we can teach other people. I did mention that you start by understanding that you have to have the quality of the science and the quality of the grant application is critical. Both of them have to say yes. There has to be an alignment because one can hamper the other. Okay. I went on to divide into 3 sections that you have what they call the conceptualization phase, the execution phase, and then the submission phase. And I did say under conceptualization, that's where you start thinking about the idea. You identify the funding you want to apply to, read it carefully, their applications, their guidelines, their eligibility, their requirements, and all of that. When you do all of that, move forward to think about how do you start writing. Start writing early, understanding what the requirement is. Identify your referees very early if referees is required. And then from then move on to, to do multiple sessions, multiple drafts, okay? And then after that, pull your application together, ensure that you apply and submit way before. And then after submission, remember to, of course, you have to follow the rules. And if they say 4 pages, don't do 8 pages. Research shows that there's an organization that I sat on their review that 25% of the applications submitted were incomplete. So ensure that your application is complete, okay? whatever that means, whether it's ensuring that your referee submits their own, you submit your Ds, if a transcript is needed, submit it. If you're whatever that is needed, ensure that you submit. And after you submit, after submission, remember to follow up if needed. Remember putting the word if needed in capital letter, if needed. And then after you receive, whether you receive it or you don't, particularly for those that do not receive it, remember to always put that sense of gratitude. All right. And I'll open things up to Q&A now. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. I think they will say in parlance, like when the spirit, though I didn't see your slide, but it's like most of the things I had in mind to share have been shared. We have, so please, if you have questions for such insight, comments, keep them coming. I will just take the next 10, 12 minutes to give my own little bit addition, and then afterwards we open the floor. So I have like 30 minutes of discussion. So please keep your comments coming, keep your questions coming. I will just add my voice to what Dr. Afolabi has shared. I think we need to start putting this together in a book. I also my team members, and what's a way to start with maybe this partnership with CSET, Regina University would be a good way to start such a endeavor.
Yeah, I
But
love it.
so what I did was, so I don't this episode 4.0, which I found so interesting, was to think my experience about almost 2 decades. So what I call the commandments of grammarship, which you have called the art of grammarship. That was the do's that needed to be done and the don't that shouldn't be done. Okay. So I will take a little of the, I don't know how many to go, how many of the commandments to go. My team said I can make it 10 commandments or 12. I don't know. But I just wanted the idea to keep flowing. I will take a few of them today, and then of course next week we'll have there's more topic on Grantsmanship. Where I can stop, I will stop in the next 10 minutes. And for sake of those who came, we just had a session from Afolabi, and we mentioned the need for membership subscription. I will say that after this episode 1 today, we go over to episode. We have more episode coming to 2, 3, 4, and 5. So to run for 5 weeks. So let's keep connected. The same channel, YouTube channel, the same Zoom link. Only for those who already registered. Those who didn't register should join the YouTube link. So I will take a few things I've mentioned. Just to stress some point that you mentioned, some point that which I call the commandments of grantmanship, and that can also go into scholarship because the same process. So the very first one that will help us that grant writing is not a beggarly process, but a mutual process. So when you are writing, it should help your confidence. You are not begging for money. You know, it's like I have an idea. I think he said that you have a good science, but the process of packing the good science matters. We normally say in this quarter that the sources of the grant is the source of the relationship is for both parties. It's like a wedding ceremony. I don't know, this look like me. I think it should be me. Who can guess when this picture was taken? If you can guess, just a white guess on the chart. Mobile is like a marital partnership, whereby if the marriage is good, both parties are there to enjoy it. But if it's otherwise, both parties are there. So in other words, if you apply for grants, the one giving you the grant wants to succeed. And if you succeed, it's part of their scorecard. So when you're writing, don't write from the point of being beggarly. It's a mutual process because your sources as a grantee is a testimony of the grantor. That's what I say it here, that the sources of the grantee is a testimony of the grantor. So that's one first commandment I want to push out on this today, is that grantmanship is not a beggarly process, but a mutual process. That will help us because your success is the success card or the scorecard of the grant agency. So next one, I've shared this one a lot, which Professor Afolabi also mentioned. Now it's better to collaborate than to compete. if you have an idea that someone is working with, instead of trying to compete, most grants now require collaboration. They'll tell you how many people should be on the team, even the gender balance, gender composition, even now some talk about the intergenerational knowledge. There should be an accomplished scholar, mid-career and early career, so that knowledge is being transferred. So it's good to collaborate and cooperate, just like I mentioned in the case of when I asked that I should host his PhD student who came visiting, we never knew that he was in the pipeline to become a Nobel laureate. But we have to collaborate, and now from that little gesture, we are taking it forward. Okay, so there's better to collaborate than to compete at all times. Just like we are doing that together with Prof Afolabi. Yeah, I still have a few minutes remaining, so where I can stop, I will stop. The third one I want to bring forward is that grant winning or grantmanship is not a sprint. It's not 100-meter dash like our brother from Jamaica, Usain Bolt. Just set, go. In 10 seconds, he has hit he has breasted the plate at the tip. It's not that way in grant writing. It could be a marathon, like our brother from Kenya, Elude Ojege. So it requires stamina, it requires, like I think Afolabi just made that clearly, that one draft is not enough. You have multiple drafts, first version, second version, third version, you revise and get feedback. So the same process. It requires time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That's the third commandment I'm bringing forward today. The next one I want to stress, this one I will stop this one because it's one of the most beautiful experiences I received. This one just came last Thursday. This Thursday, about 2 days ago, 4 days ago. I said the fourth commandment is that follow the guidelines painstakingly or religiously. This was a grant that one of my team members submitted. And look, if you can read what is there, can you read it there? It said we have received your proposal to the Spencer Foundation. This is the title. But look at what he said. Unfortunately, the proposal you submitted exceeded the word limit of the program to which you applied. As a result, it will not be reviewed. Chicken up. So no matter the science, no matter all the hard labor, just that you didn't obey the commandment of the word count, the proposal was not assessed. So it could be as simple as that, just the word count, just the paragraphing, just number. So if, like he said, take time to go through the guidelines, they are there. They're guidelines. Look at the previous funded projects. This is a painful experience, but it's worth learning. I normally want to learn from both the success story and for the other story. So the fourth commandment I'm bringing forward today is that we should painstakingly go through the guidelines and follow suits. If they say they want 4 members, 2 must be female, 2 male, follow the guidelines painstakingly. Just like this painful experience, or just not mindful of the word count, the proposal was turned down. You can just imagine how painful that can be. All right, so the next one I want to bring forward is grant writing or grantmanship is not a money-making process. Let's be guided. So I'll give a last story. When we got a grant about from Codestra 2018, it was announced by university management in one of our fellowship. And then after that event, somebody say, "Hey, Prof, I beg, borrow me some money." I said, "Well, I said this, you don't get grants now." I said, "No, it doesn't work that way. There's a budget for the grants, so it needs to be followed." So in this case, what you do is you have to follow your budget. So anybody who is a part of a team, you allocate task, and anybody who gets the task accomplished will get that amount made for that budget. So otherwise, it will be to avoid the issue of, because money has cost money so much for the problem. So grant writing is not a money-making process. What I normally say is seek values and contribution first. Money and reputation will be added onto you. So the fifth commandment I'm bringing forward today is that grant writing is not a money-making process. So when you get the amount, don't get carried away. Look at your budget and add by your budget to ensure that you deliver. Okay, I will try and stop and so we can take Q&A. I want to look. Yes, the last one, maybe the sixth commandment here, I'm bringing you. Rejection is not a death sentence. So when, like this one I just came now, just about 4 days ago, I told the guy, well, you have learned, just take a look at the comment. Let's
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. Please mute that person, please. Okay, so next one is that it's not a death sentence. So if you get rejected, it's part of it. Even Nobel laureates have received a rejection. So don't be afraid to hear no. After several no's, there could be yes nearby. So I normally say in the music balance. So keep moving, no parking, waiting. Do your best, take your rest and leave the rest. Okay, just like Afolabi said, even if you send no, just send a thank you note. Thanks so much. And we saw how that turn around to become from no to yes. And even if you didn't get it, that one, most cases, those agencies will put you on their mailing list. When there's a new call, you'll be contacted. So the next one I just said is rejection in writing or grantsmanship is not a death sentence. Don't take it to heart. Don't get depressed. Put yourself, move forward. I think I can stop there. Okay, I can stop there for today, and many others, and then we can open the floor for Q&A. So others I can take others maybe before the end of this session. Okay, so I will stop now. So we have like 30 good minutes for Q&A. So team member, let's take a look at the questions we have. Okay, if you have your somebody raising hand, Paulinus, you acknowledge. Okay, let me take the other hands that are raised. I'll come to you, Paulinus, straight away. Why you are trying to prepare for that? Team member, please, let's take a look at the Q&A session. Commenting there are questions. Why Paulinus? We both on YouTube and Zoom. Let me look at it. So Paulinus, you have the space. Over to your question. Thank you, sir. You can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Okay, so thank you, Prof. And thank you, our erudite presenter. So mine is a very quick one. I just wanted to ask, okay, like two things. So the first thing is looking at the comment you made about grant writing is not a beggarly thing. So meaning that both the writer of the grant and even the organization offering the grants have a stake in the whole process. So I just wanted to ask, in line with this, can one maybe while writing grants, can you make some kind of let's say suggestions, perhaps in terms of maybe the scope or the data or whatever, just different from what the that is contained, of course, in the grant call for itself. Can you bring in your own idea, perhaps, on how to make it better, or should you just stick strictly to what is required, in order to avoid being rejected? So that's it. And secondly, I wanted to ask again. It appears to me that most of the grants I see, they're all foreign. They're all usually from outside the country. So I'm just wondering, are there a correlation between this issue of funding research and grants and economic development? Because I don't know what is going on, maybe especially in developing countries. Is it that we don't have regard for research, or we don't have need for funding research to be able to get knowledge or make decisions that are based on empirical evidence? Thank you.
Okay, very loaded question. Prof Afolabi, you want to go in and I'll come in?
Okay, yeah. So let's start with the first question. I think that when you're applying for a grant, there's a place where you give feedback, not at when you are writing your proposal. When you're submitting an application, and in fact, these days, most granting organizations or agencies will ask when you've submitted, we need your feedback. So if I get your question correctly, the place where you give feedback is not when you are writing your proposal. Present your proposal as it is asked of you. Do it meticulously. Let it, submit it. And then when the time for feedback comes, give them the feedback. Hopefully I get your question correctly. That's how I'll do it. I won't be writing my proposal and then be giving them feedback as I'm writing my proposal. It's like I'm critiquing them while I'm writing. Does that make sense? When we say that it's a mutual benefit, what we mean by that is that the funding agency that is giving you money or that wants to give the money was given to them for a particular mandate, and they are looking for proposals that will make that mandate to be materialized. So that's why if there are 1,000 proposals, they will choose only 10 or 20 or 50, whatever number they will choose, that align with that mandate or the vision, because the execution of that mandate is dependent, the success of it is dependent on if they will get their next funding. Because every organization, every funding that is given to you or to us, it was given to that organization or to that agency. So there is a report in the hierarchy. So for example, I am a Canada research chair. The federal government of Canada gave me gave my university, based on my research, X number of funding. And I have to report. That's a taxpayer's money. So it's the same thing, whether it's DIaD or is whatever, or even if that organization is being sponsored by a private organization. So that's what we mean by mutual. And so when you want to give feedback, because yes, we have to give feedback when needed, when necessary, at the right time, you give it later, not when you're submitting an application. I'll leave it at that, and I'll allow Prof to speak to it. The second question, I think that there are funding grants in the country, in Nigeria, if that's what you're referring to by the country and foreign. Yes, there are many outside Nigeria. There are many outside Nigeria, obviously. But Nigeria has TED Fund, for example, all right? And again, I know that works within a certain parameter, but that's an example, okay? And all of that. So I think I will allow Prof to speak to that, because again, that's for a large part, that also is context and its constituency. So I'll pass it on to you, Prof, to speak to that.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot. Let me take the first one. Yeah, if I get it from you on the first question, so it's about asking for clarity or inquiries. So what some agency does that, if the call is to end like in November ending, the day where inquiries can be made before this date. So you can make inquiries. But you also can actually, if you need more clarification, you can book a date for a meeting. For example, we're applying for a JPAL grant with my team members. We should a meeting with them. We had a meeting last week. We don't know whether private sector can be part of the implementing partner or government. And they said, well, you can have both, but to be clear why they are coming on board. So in such a case, you can ask questions before the deadline. So you can schedule me. But some would normally do that. You and you wider would do a webinar on the grant on that particular call to explain and ask if you have further question. You can ask before this deadline. So they have someone. So in that case, you can ask such questions, and you can even write them by email. You need revision. Of course, have to be done a way ahead of time before deadline. And it just shows that you are keen about their process. So it gives you a little bit edge. That's one. Yeah, for funding, there are not so much. There are a bit of them. It's unfortunate, but we want to believe that as we get many Nigerians who are ready what to do, have their own foundation that can give, like even Mastercard Foundation. These are grants for that Kennedy Foundation, and a number of them want to believe that most African leaders, most African billionaires, or what to do, can open such space to allow who can have Dangote Foundation funding research on all of that. So it's emerging. Who says that they cannot grow to have direct grants for early career? Why not? So one such mindset is there, but not so much compared to developed countries. It's also about our mindset on the premier we place on this. I know South Africa and Ethiopia are the ones, and not Ethiopia, Egypt, they have robust funding from the government angle. For further countries in Africa, not so much. But we hope that we can, as we grow, very soon people like us can come to power. So this I think can bring on board to champion. So there are elements of that, but not so much. Okay, I don't know. I've answered your question. Let's look at other comments. Let's put on the comment, please. Team member, can read them out.
Again, example of graduate.
Again.
Okay, so that's one question. Is there any example of grant writing categories?
Okay, examples. Yeah, examples abound, and from what you have read so far, there are a number of them you can go to. Of course, like I said, one of the commandments I wrote there is it's a non-linear process. So what works for grant A may not work for grant B because every call is unique, even from the same organization, it's unique. So that's why you will be able to pay attention to the templates and follow the guideline. Okay, let's try this. Okay, Abebe, I'll come to you. Let's take that question for the chat. I'll come to you, Dr. Abebe. Okay. One more question. Okay, good. Let's take you now. Abebe from Ethiopia. Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor and Dr. Afolabi, for your brief presentation. My question is that the grant application all the time have page limitation. So what do you recommend us to enhance the quality? And do we need to focus on the business brief or on the methods?
Thanks for that question. So I'll chime in and then I'll pass it on to Prof. So I think it's not every app. I think it also grant the application specific. There are some that will ask for the methodology, they will ask for literature review, they will ask for this. There's some application they will ask for a letter of intent. There's some that will say what's your statement of purpose. Some will ask for leadership statement. So again, depending on, please read, and I can't overemphasize this. I'm happy that Prof gave an example. Read the particular funding carefully. If he's not asking for business plan, don't give it. If he's not asking for budget, there's no point in giving what they don't ask for. So my response to your question is, it's specific. Look at what is required. Okay, go to the extent, how many pages. In fact, there's a funding here. There's a partnership that we're doing with another university, and I had to write a letter of partnership and all of that. And they wanted us to, I need to upload the letter on the portal. That letter did not upload because the margin of the page, I did not align to it. So I had to go back and say, what am I getting wrong? Because he was not allowing me to upload it. I had to go to Word document. I had to now check my margin because it was so specific. So my response is that please, depending on what you're applying for, focus on what is required. Some will say just do methodology. There's a funding grant fund that I applied for, I think over a year ago, and I didn't get it. They were really their question was about methodology because the focus of that foundation is on methodologies. They wanted you to investigate the method you are using in your research and all that. So most of the questions they were asking that I needed to respond to, they were 80% method questions. Now, if I start writing budget justification for them, or I start giving them business plan, it's not required. So again, please read it carefully and then respond to whatever is asked of you. I'll pass it on to Prof.
Okay, thanks a lot. Again, it's context specific. But some will tell you introduction, statement problem, 1,000 words. Literature review, they'll just give you, but some are very careful that even when you're typing, as soon as you exit the maximum word count, you can't enter anymore. But so it's about follow the commandment of the guideline religiously. Follow it. What they ask is what you provide, and what they say you do, you provide. And it also helps us to learn discipline because it is clear. If you can't follow simple instruction, I will show you can follow the thorough scientific process. Okay, that's after I answer a question. If there's no other question, let's go to the ones on the chat. Okay, somebody is asking what can be the object of a follow-up email. The one you wrote, what did you tell them?
You mean my follow-up email. So this particular organization, when I got the letter,
yes.
when I got the letter, and that's become my own, not to all funding. Please, let's be clear, it's not to all funding, because there's some funding that you cannot even do with no reply, right? The ones that I can access. I'll just say thank you so much for spending the time, my appreciation to the review committee, but if, again, depending on that funding, if they say you can ask for feedback, because they won't give you feedback except you ask for it. There are some funding that from the organizations that they want to give feedback, but they can't give feedback to 500 people. So they'll say, if you ask, we'll give you. And I'll say, by the way of feedback, is there any thing in my application that you're hoping that I could work on in case I submit next time and all that. So as feedback, again, if they are open to feedback, read the guideline carefully. Those are really the two contents in my follow-up email. There's some email, especially when you submit an application and you didn't hear back from them, maybe after 48 hours, I'll just send an email to say, hey, hi, my name is so, I applied for this funding. I submitted an application and I didn't get any acknowledgement. I was hoping to check if you received it because I know that there might be technical glitch and all of that. And so again, it depends on context, but for me, those are really the content. Those are sort of like the content in my follow-up email if I have to send any follow-up email.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, okay, I guess give another example. We did a proposal for Volkswagen Foundation in Germany, and they just we received a normal story, high volume of application, we couldn't take it on. So I said, let's write them. Okay, please, we thank you so much, but we want to get feedback. They replied, well, we can't give detailed feedback, but however, in your introduction, this concept were not properly conceptualized. Even though it's just a short, but something that we thought that everybody should know, be aware of. So we say, thanks so much, we will repackage for that. So it could just be something simple and things overlooked can be corrected. So it's about looking at what they said and ask questions. It's just about 2 lines. Don't make it a textbook.
It's not an essay.
It's not an essay.
Yeah.
Somebody says in South Africa has robust funding system. Yeah, it's a good one. I hope that other countries will emulate from South Africa. Somebody asked for your email address. Due to YouTube, we are streaming live, so we don't disclose the what we call PID based on the fire. But you can reach out to us on DIaDeRC programs at DIaDeRC.org. We discuss the team. That's simple. Okay, somebody say is feedback. Thanks a lot. I'm checking if there are. Is there any material books on? Okay, we are recommending a number of them already. Let's check whether there are other comments, both on YouTube or Okay,
Prof,
okay,
I also
Moses,
just saying in terms of materials, I think that the idea for us to put something together, especially in the context of, in our own specific context, I think maybe we can pursue that.
Yeah, we have to, because it is the 4th edition, so every series we have a lot of knowledge. Thank God we have them recorded on YouTube, so we can really, and they have the slides. So yeah, we said we can work on by God's grace.
Okay.
It's not like a commandment of grant writing.
Yeah.
Out of science perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, is anyone from YouTube? Let's look at it. Comments. Okay, someone's asking, how did you get reviewers when you started? As for Marcos.
Yeah, and I think I did reply, Prof, that I started really getting my feedback first from my family members.
Yeah.
I have a very supporting family. And then start extending it a little bit to, my teachers or
supervisors, your colleagues,
and then to my colleagues, and all of that. So start from where you are, okay? Right. So in the early days, there's hardly an application that in my own family that anyone submitted that none of that, at least we've all read through it and offer feedback. Feedback is not like we're writing for the person. Feedback is not like I'm writing for you. It's like, oh, have you thought about this and all that? And so I started from there, and then supervisors or lecturers, and then move on to colleagues and all of that. So yeah, that's how I started. And I still do that, even till today. So.
Yeah, someone is asking you, I hope you will be available to read through my grant application. Thank you in advance. Okay, but that being said, what we are doing again is that it's a network. So like for those who are in premium membership, they have clusters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we encourage them within that cluster level, the home meetings, the share document, Google Doc, people comment. So that the ASMN premium membership becomes a very valuable platform to check to get such feedback. What we do that we have them from different disciplines, also from different level of experience. Okay. So we have such platform on there that we can go to. So everybody on this call, about over 100 people, will not be asking Afolabi to read their proposal. So you can use we can harness the ASMN premium membership for such feedback or peer review mechanism. I think these are some of the comments. Is anybody that had raised? Somebody was trying to talk. Is it Kelechi or so we can take there before we move on. We have about 10-15 minutes to end the call for today. It's been a good idea. Multiple drafts means multiple ideas. Oh, that's a good one. Thanks so much, Mohammed. Sometimes we check whether I have other questions. Okay. Let me check. Let's check again. So thanks a lot. Kelechi, you were going to talk. Do you have any question? You can raise your hand if you want. Let me check. Otherwise, okay. Yes, so we try to now work towards concluding today's session. It's been wonderful, and thanks everyone for your point. So in summary today, we have okay, please go ahead.
Somebody is asking, is it possible to form a team where we can put to practice what we learn here? Patricia Ajayi.
Yeah, Patricia, thanks a lot. I think that's what I've said. Within the ASMN membership, we have such a window whereby I think, yeah. So, for example, this is a new program we started. The first batch were onboarded in. So what we'll do between now, the course runs from now to end of November, barely 1 month. After that, we do onboarding. So in the onboarding, we like a training, we do onboarding. After the onboarding, we put them in clusters based on their disciplines. So we encourage a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary perspective, also based on the area of experience. We put those who are highly experienced with meat and those who are just freshers, so that we have such a mixed integration of ideas. And so within that cluster, they collaborate. A number of them are already collaborating. If you want to go to this DIaDeRC website, you also click join the network, you see it. Another is a drop down, you see, you can take a look at those who are already onboarded, the ASMN Premium Batch 1. See it. So we have such platform that is tagged the ASMN Premium membership, whereby we have such a closer mentorship. So you can check it out on our website and where this network ASMN Premium membership, or just go to the DIaDeRC website, click join the network, and you just you see all the benefit there. There's a YouTube video there. There's the form is there. It's open till end of November. Afterward, we'll do onboarding, and then because the other training we offer, like capacity building training on data analysis, all of that we can't do on this general platform, but we'll do that on that premium membership. So it's a thing you can take a look at, and you'll be glad you did. And it's so simple. Okay. Is there any question? Let's check. Okay. So I will try to tidy up for today's session, which has been very engaging. Thanks to my big brother from Canada for such a sense. So by next week, we take it further on this grant with Dr. Judith and who are one about 3 or 4 of them, taking us the proposal writing and the practicality of grant winning and grant implementation. And that's the next week Sunday, same time like this. After that, the upper week we go to publication, then the episode 4 on the collaboration, then episode 5 on the network and experience sharing. Let's not forget, after this session, I think somebody's asking whether there will be certificate. Yes, so after this, normally after each episode like this, we have exercise. So we post on our platform, WhatsApp group platform for this 4.0, and also by email. So by tomorrow or so, the exercise will be ready. So you have to be exercised and to qualify for the certificate, and also we encourage you to be part of our supplement membership to qualify. So with that, I will edit here, and then so next week we take it further to the area of a grantmanship and grant writing, particularly grant writing. So once again, I appreciate Dr. Afolabi for such a time. I know it's quite not convenient for you. I appreciate you. That there is a sacrifice we are offering to humanity, because our motto is honing knowledge for to so many lives. Okay, I think thanks a lot. Somebody has put it. Thanks a lot. So if you go to the chat now, the link to join the ASMN membership is there. So you click the link and you take to our website and you see the details are out there, and you'll be glad you did. If you have any question, you can always reach out to us on DIaDeRC at programs@DIaDeRC.org. We'll be glad to respond to your emails. And if you are on 4.0, you should have joined the WhatsApp group and Telegram group where I will share immediate feedback. Otherwise, the email is there. We can reach out to you by email as well. So thanks so much. It's been nice having you here. There's any question? Beluke, okay, thank you so much. Again, yes, it's one of the requirements apart from the membership. What again do we have as question? If no, we have 8 minutes, so we can. Maybe I should take one more commandment while 8 minutes is counting. If not, so let me take one more. I think I've said, I don't know how many it will be, but I've just mentioned one that is it's not a Bengali process. That was clarified clearly. They will say it's better to collaborate than to compete. Well said easily because there's a butler that will mention Joseph before Pharaoh. And I just mentioned the case of Robert James Robertson. Then we said number 3 is a grant process is a sprint, it's marathon. It requires you persistent, continuity, practice. They will say practice make perfect. Then this people experience I mentioned that it's essential that we follow the guidelines. Basically, ordinary word count can make them to turn down grant application. This happened to us about 4 days ago. You can imagine how painful it was. Okay, there are then this one saying guys, grant is not a money-making process. So if you get a grant, ensure you follow the budget to deliver. Then I will also say that even if it's rejected, you try your best. Wow, you don't kill yourself. It's not a death sentence. You can repackage it. You can ask for feedback, as I've said. It's try again because after so many years, there could be after so many no, there could be yes. And I'm going to give a case whereby this story happened between Peter and Jesus Christ. He asked him, "How many times would my brother offend me that I will forgive him?" He did 7 times, and he replied him 70 times 7. Which before you get 17 no's, you should be able to get 1 yes. So keep moving, no parking, no waiting, keep moving. The one thing I want to mention again is that number 7 is that grant process is not a linear process. It's not that take a bus, you take Uber to airport. When you get to the airport, board this airline, land at Calgary, then take a cab to my house. It's not simple. It's a non-linear process. It's because every grant process is unique. So you approach everyone uniquely. You have to start the idea, you get it, you execute, otherwise you repackage, revise. So it's a non-linear process. That's what Afolabi has said to us that it's both an art and a science. I want to end with this number 8, which I call avoidlastminute.com. I've been told that your first draft is not enough. You have to go through again and again. So you don't write is for worse. As simple as that, they will say you are not, you don't pay attention to details. Okay. So I'll end with this experience we had. We were working on a project under this intra-African mobility between African Union and the European Union. Well, about I think about 5 consortium. University in Nigeria, our university was there, was leading the one here. University in Tanzania was there. From Ghana, from Zambia, and from South Africa, about 5 universities from different countries. So we are having meetings for about 3 months, packaging the proposal. We look at how to develop a program that people can do across across countries in Africa. And the ones Tanzania was lead, was to submit it. So we tried to tidy up everything. On the day of submission, something happened. I think the internet in this university didn't work. And then it was so painful. After working for 3 good months, several sleepless night meetings. And the guy couldn't submit because he was on internet in university. And he submitted it on hang. And we wrote to European Union that sorry, we couldn't submit. They were sorry, it's not our fault. So that is very painful. So I normally have that now, what we call avoid last minute come. Turn your application early enough. They say early to bed, early to rise. Don't wait until the last day. I think I probably said, sure, at least with 2 days to the timeline, please. In case there's internet information, you have to now look for how to. I think within 1 day you can look for how to navigate internet. But if you're looking at the last minute, there will no time to do it. Just like you mentioned just now that they could upload the letter because of the size. What if it was that last minute? They won't be time to resize. So I will stop here and I will thank you so much for your time. If there's no other comment, say good at the end.
Well, I'll just mention 2 things quickly. I think first,
thanks a lot.
It's the mindset. I love what you said that grant writing, is not a begging process. And I think that many times those that are coming from a certain demography and social background, it's always that poverty mindset. And that's why TED Fund could give money to someone, and instead of them to go to conference, they went to use the money to buy a car. Okay, so we're building new generation of scholars who have an abundance mindset. Don't think that the grant that you are writing that they give it is what you use they're going to use to build a house. And let's address the foundational issues here. Okay. The funding that is being given to you is to do a research, is for a purpose. Please, please, and please. If you get it, or when you get it, use it well. Okay. Because I always say, make righteousness righteous enough for those that are coming behind you. Okay. Please live respectfully, live well. Mindset. So let your mindset shift. Okay. That's the first thing. From a poverty mindset to an abundance mindset. From a scarcity mindset to a mindset that I'm enough, right? And you're not begging for money. Okay. The way the process works is that to whom much is given, much more will be given. Nobody's gonna give you 500,000 if they've not seen that you've handled 50,000 well. Okay, that's why you start from small and then it grows. Okay, I can handle X number of million of dollar by now because I started small, same as Prof handling billions of dollars. So it's not and really, I had an experience, Prof. There's a student that came, that was one of my students back in the day, and then came to my office and was like, wow, I must have money. And I'm like, what does it mean? He said, all these grants that I have. I said, she does not come to me. He's like, so why are you applying? I started laughing. I said, when you get funding in this part of the world, is to sponsor you, is to give you, that's why you get money for research. I'm paying you to do your own research, to get a degree. I'm paying you, right? So let's change that mindset, okay? And then that will really help us in whatever we're doing. I don't have a minute to say the second thing, but that's a major thing. I'm happy to end on that note. Please change
thanks a lot. I think you are reading my spirit. That's why this book must come out, because some of the commandment I have inside is when I said, it's up for your mindset. You can't think losing thoughts and have winning idea. No. So it's that, and so you get it. And one of the commandments I have there is that it's better not to win a grant than to win and not deliver. See, if you know you will not deliver, please don't apply for. So because it will affect you, it will affect your university reputation, it will affect even the country you are coming from. So please, okay, I think it's time. I don't want to keep
all right
waiting. So once again, I want to appreciate you, everyone. Thanks a lot for everyone. It's been awesome, great. And this recorder is on YouTube, so live, so you can go to it again and again. So by tomorrow we'll post the assignments by God's grace, so you can do it. It's part of the requirements, because it's a boot camp. Okay. All right. So I want to stop recording now. Yeah, thanks a lot. Stop recording on YouTube as well.